welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the month of November. I hope you're well. Looking forward to the start of Sagittarius season, which will be happening at the end of this month. Which is not to say I don't like Scorpio season, because I do, but do a bit of that fire. We've also got Mars going direct to look forward to. The energy has been quite frustrating for the last 2 months, so it'll be awesome. So, the right way around. So let's see what is in store for you. 3 cards for Sagittarius. I'm just going to drop a load of cards straight off the bat. 3 cards for Sagittarius, please. Oh. Got the Emperor, Aries energy in your recent past. Current energy for Sagittarius, please. I've got the Page of Pentacles. I like that for you. And one more card for Sagittarius. What's coming towards Sagittarius? Sagittarius. The 6 of Wands. Incredible. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Moon. That's the card of Cancer, and it speaks to me about the subconscious, the non-conscious, that kind of thing, right? Like it's shadow quite often. It's the bits of you that are hidden from yourself. But I know underneath that we've got the 7 of Pentacles, and then I've got the King of Wands. Now, it seems like this month, what's going on with you is some contemplation of your inner space, right? There are things about you that you are kind of, I don't want to say not happy with exactly, but maybe there are issues that you know are kind of loitering around down there, and you've been waiting for the right time to start addressing them. It feels to me like November might be that time for you, because the King of Wands is all about taking action. Like, it's strictly Leo, but it could be Aries or Sagittarius too. And it's, you know, this king moves about. He doesn't, it's actually quite Sagittarian in nature in some ways, right? Of all the kings, he's the one that doesn't stay still, right? If there's something to be done, he'll go after it and he'll do it. Now, it seems to me like it's looking into your internal space, seeing what it is that you're not happy about, and kind of moving it around a little bit. And these can be old things, right? And actually, for most of you, I think that it is. I don't think it's the things that have been going on with you this year, because actually what seems to have happened, although there was quite a bit of disruption at times over this year for you, and some amount of kind of shoddy behaviour from other people toward you, on the whole, your life seems much more settled than it was this time last year. This time last year, you were kind of in a bit of a state with yourself. There was a great deal of tension starting to build, and a sense that your inner world and your outer world did not match properly. It seems to me like you've equalized that out, and now what remains within, the things that you are not comfortable about, do feel shadowy in nature. They feel like they've been around for a very long time, and you're kind of feeling like you're in a space now where you can deal with those things where you couldn't before. And we're going to use the John Bauer deck to clarify. So let's have a look. See, Emperor. Where's the Emperor here? Got the 4 of Wands. Love it. And Strength. Amazing. Love it. It's a card of Leo, obviously, in the Major Arcana. Where's the Page of Pentacles here? We've got the King of Wands, again. It's more Leo energy, but possibly yours. Look at that Page of Pentacles. Ooh. Page of Pentacles, please. What's that here? We've got Ace of Wands as well. Ooh. This is astonishing. Right, hang on. We get 2 more cards. Why is the 6 of Wands here for Sagittarius? Whoa, we've got. This is awesome. Holy shit, Saggy, what are you on with here? What we've got is the 6 of Swords, the 10 of Cups, and the 9 of Wands, with the Hanged Man at the bottom of this deck here. Now, with the King of Cups, actually, the Hanged Man talks about a shift in perspective, right? It talks about gaining wisdom, gaining knowledge. What it seems to be for you is wisdom and knowledge of emotional things, right? Emotional mastery. And it's interesting how these cards match up with the shadow cards that are in here, right? You're looking at the world very differently from the way that you used to. And as your outer world is starting to take the shape that you always wanted from it, right? I do get that sense, like there's a great deal of peace around you, while still being lots and lots of movement. But you're a Sag, that's what, what we expect. It's created a space for you to look inside and see what it is that you are struggling with, or have struggled with over your life, and change it, shift it, right? There's so much activity here in this reading. I love it. So the very first card is the Emperor, right? Aries energy, and it's one half of divine partnership with the Empress. He is the King of Kings. He has the attributes of all of the kings contained therein, and he's about taking charge of things, right? He's about taking control of your life. Now, he's got his bad points. Sometimes it can indicate somebody who is controlling and things like that, but it doesn't feel like this to me. It feels like you have recently really started to pull your shit together, and more than that, because I think that that's actually something that's been going on for quite a while for you, but you're really starting to feel it now. There's a sense of empowerment that's coming really strongly off this card. It's like the extent of your empire. You know what you've put into it to build it, and it's not pride that I'm feeling, but almost like contentment. Right? Contentment that you've managed to do this. And like, for some of you, maybe it's because you were told that you were never able to do this thing, whatever it is, taking charge of your life. And maybe in the past you've been reliant on other people to kind of pick up the detail of the stuff, but you've got it all in hand, right? And it does feel like a massive power up here. Like, the amount of wands cards on the table is absolutely ludicrous, right? It is clarified by the Four of Wands and strength. Now, it's possible that part of what it is that you're pulling your life together with involves a move, a house move, right? And see that with the Four of Wands, because the Four of Wands for me is a card of home, right? Now, usually, and this still applies, I would say, it's the people that feel like home to you. You get some good news. Who are the people that you ring to share that news with, right? They are home to you. Who would you want to celebrate with? But the Four of Wands is more than that. It's about building that around you. So it could be a physical home, but it could be a community around you, or it could just be within yourself. Like, you really starting to get a taste for running your own life instead of having somebody else run it for you, or kind of handing your power over to somebody else to deal with the kind of boring details of it. You're taking it all in now, and I love that. And it could involve a Leo, but if it doesn't, it's like you've cracked open, you've blossomed, right, in recently, as you felt more empowered, as you felt more confident, as you felt like truly you, actually, for some of you is how it feels. So we're moving on to your current energy, and that's the Page of Pentacles. And I love this for you, because this is one of a number of cards that indicate to me a new start in the 3D, in the material. It certainly gives some credibility to that being particularly, being a house move of some description. But it doesn't have to be, right? It feels like it's slightly wider than that. It's like you finally caught up in your head with where you are materially, what you have managed to create and sustain and maintain, and giving yourself credit for it. But as your brain's caught up with it, so you're now starting to give yourself a bit of a pat on the back about it. And if it's not that much, it's just, like I said, this kind of sense of contentment. But there's definitely an indication here that your life is moving off in a different direction, right? Tangibly, obviously, detectably by you. And like I said, I think it's taken you a little while to catch up to that being the case. I think other people will have seen it around you, but now you're starting to see it, and that's amazing, because what we've got here is the King of Wands and the Ace of Wands. Now, again, that's Aries, that's Leo, sister fire energy to you. But they could quite well indicate you too. You know, the King of Wands, like the Emperor, is kind of like, well, he's the King of Kings, but he's a fire element card, right? Aries. Then we've got an actual king here wielding an actual wand, which has come up next to it. It's like, I feel you're opening up, Sagittarius. This is a really strong feeling that I've got from here. Cracking open, blooming like a flower, like really owning your life, really taking control of everything and feeling so empowered by it. But your creative spark is here, right? And it feels like it's got room to roam where it didn't before. Like when the Ace of Wands used to show up for you before, right, and I'm talking in a kind of like a broad sense here, it for you was always about solving problems, right? Something's appeared, you're like, fucking hell, here's a thing, I got to deal with it. And you would think creatively, because you can, about this thing, and you'd come up with a fairly ingenious solution to it, and then you'd deal with it and you'd move on, right? This feels much looser, much freer, much more rangy, right? And it's this sense of peace, it's this sense of lack of burden that I've got going on around me. I feel positively giddy, actually, where it's created space in your brain and in your heart to be able to come up with new things, possibly, but you're just living your life differently. Like everything about the way you're living your life is entirely different to where you were this time last year, and you're fucking loving it. It really does feel like you're loving it, but it's beginning to open your eyes to something beyond what you thought you could have. It was almost like all of this year you were hoping for something, right? Hoping for something to change, hoping for something to come in, hoping for your life to be different. But it was kind of limited by the kind of thinking that you had this time last year, right? So it was kind of like a goal. You had it there and you were like, if I can get this, then that'll be all right. That'll be pretty good. But you've kind of creamed your way up to it. And as you've approached it, it's almost like this entirely beautiful vista has opened up in front of you. And you're like, look at all these things that I could have as well, that I could produce for myself, you know? And this space that's been created in your life by removing all the things that were stressing you out before, all the limitations. I mean, you've been able to sort of gallop around and it feels new. It feels entirely new to me. It doesn't feel like you've really had this ability before. And you're absolutely loving it. And with good reason, because you're fucking owning it at the moment, Sagittarius. Like, what are you up to? Right? This is the Six of Wands, another card of Leo. But it speaks specifically about victory. Not only that, sort of conspicuous public victory, right? It's in the what's coming towards you pile. And it just feels like your path at the moment is completely blessed, right? It doesn't really matter what you do. You can just make silk purses out of sow's ears, right? There's something of the magic touch about you at the moment. Now, where it's interesting is the fact that we've got, to clarify that Six of Wands, the Six of Swords, right? The only even slightly difficult card here on the table. But even then, it's not, right? We've got a double six, right? So we've got a lot of movement going on in you, and I've said, feels like a lot of movement. And it feels like you are being free and rangy with that movement too. But this is about leaving difficult things behind. You know? Now, if we tie it in with what was going on in the shadow cards, right? Talking about your inner space, talking about the old things. And I think possibly what's happening here is there's some sort of recognition of patterns that have, you know, repeated since your childhood, that you have somehow this year broken free of, right? You've broken the cycle, you've broken out of it somehow. And what's left are like residual fragments. And these are the things that you're looking at, and these are the things that you are choosing to leave behind at this time. Yeah, like, fuck, Wheel of Fortune has just come out to clarify that. Now, that's a card, you know, that is associated with Sagittarius. It's ruled by Jupiter, right? Whenever this card appears, generally, right, it indicates an improvement in fortune in some way, right? Just for me personally, some people say it indicates that your luck could go down as well, but I've never seen it in a reading come out that way, particularly when it's clarifying the Six of Wands, right? But there is a sense of being guided here, right, for you. There's a small, God, excuse me, divine orchestration kind of thing going on. It's like you're reaping benefits that you never thought that you could have. And you're now looking at yourself in a way that you never thought you would be able to. Looking at these broken fragments of old patterns that exist within you. And just kicking them out. Just doing a Saggy on them, you know? But in a really, really healthy way. Instead of running away from it. Or, you know, trying, you know, the conflict avoidance thing that you sometimes do. You're kind of looking at it and you go, well, that's fucking worthless. There's no point in it being here in me. So I'm going to let it go. But the other thing that it talks about to me is a teaching moment, right? Your fortunes don't start aligning by accident, right? But that's not a thing that happens. Things around you shift when you make changes inside of you. And what you have achieved in the last year, and I feel like it is the last year, are things that you never thought you would do. You walked away from people that you never expected that you would do. You identified toxic elements in your life that you kind of knew were there, but you sort of made it more your fault, you know, and you put up with them for an awful long time. And quite often this is because of the amount of loyalty that you had towards these people or these situations, you know. And it's stunning that actually in some ways, for a sign that values their liberation as much as Sagittarius, and you know, you're unparalleled in that regard, right? Don't try and pin a Sagittarius down to anything. What's really extraordinary is the way that you identify that you pinned yourself to something, right? And it's like the scales have come off this year, right? So you moved away from all of it. You've let it all go out of your life, you know, physically exiting your life. But now you're in a place where you can start looking within and going, well, that was to do with that, and that actually wasn't anything to do with me at all. That was that person. That was potentially an awful lot of projection that I was receiving at the hands of someone else. And maybe it wasn't just one person. Maybe it's multiple people. Maybe it's situations. It's like I kind of feel like my jaw wanting to swing open with you know, disbelief that you allowed yourself to be stuck in a situation for so long, right? But what's coming through really strongly is a real sense of fun. Like, you're really enjoying being you at the moment. Like, there doesn't seem to be much in your life at the moment that is making you feel kind of shoddy about anything. And if there is, you'll fucking change it, because you can, because you've got that power. We've got the Ten of Cups at the bottom of the deck here, and that's really interesting because the next clarifier is the Ten of Cups. Now for me, the Nine of Cups talks about the individual. It talks about taking responsibility for your own happiness, right? Knowing that if you're not happy with something, then you just fucking change it. And the thing is, it sort of feels a little bit like preaching to the choir with Sagittarians, because in all other aspects of your life, you were just like, well, fuck you, I'm not taking that, and I'm not doing this, and you know, yeah. But there has been something, someone, a situation which, and if you cast your mind back, it was probably about this time last year that you were really in the thick of it, right? In that situation, and you kept yourself there, right? Like I said, it kind of makes my jaw want to swing open with disbelief. I feel in your energy just like, wow, can't believe I did that. The liberation that you are feeling from releasing yourself from that, first identifying it, acknowledging it, and then doing something about it. There's empowerment here, there's liberation here, there is fun here, there is joy here, right? So we've got that Nine of Cups kind of taking on everything of yours and sorting it out. But the Ten of Cups is when you come together with someone else, right? And often someone else who is also in a Nine of Cups vibe, right? And create something bigger than the sum of its parts from the pair of you, right? It's possible that there is a relationship coming in for you. If you don't have it already, that's one way of looking at this. But if not, this is just a general sense of utter contentment with the people that are now in your life. Like I said at the beginning of the year, that 2020, and I've been entirely borne out by this, by what's occurred. 2020 would be a year where all of a sudden, people that you thought would be in your life forever just slid away, right? They just left, they just peeled off, right? And we're no longer there. And there were people coming in, and the people that were there, probably by about, you know, the middle of the year, the people that were there were the ones that were going to stay. And it feels like you've kind of called in your tribe somehow. You're surrounded by a really decent group of people, and life feels really fucking good at the moment, right? The final card is the Nine of Wands, and that's a card of boundaries. Because it's almost like the piece of the puzzle that was missing for you there. How it is that you allowed yourself to trap yourself in something that you weren't happy with was because, for whatever reason, this person was like the latest iteration of a cycle that you've repeated forever, right? And for whatever reason, they were able to get past the very healthy boundaries that you have with the rest of the planet, right? They just kind of snuck around it, and then they sat on the inside of your boundaries and snarked at you, criticized you, told you you were useless, told you you were worthless, right? Made everything your fault, was so critical, right? And you didn't really know what to do with that, because you hadn't really noticed that they should have been on the other side of the boundary. This is what you see now. Like, Sagittarius, I don't know how much more I could possibly rave about this reading. This is exquisite, right? When I did your meditation before the reading, there was a real surge of power came in. It actually made me feel slightly sick. It was that strong. And it was like, it was down and it was up as well, and it feels like you're going down into you, looking at stuff and going, yeah, you're gone. But there's this swell that takes you up as well, right? Elevates you. You're so comfortable in your own skin now, and comfortable in this Four of Wands situation that you've built for yourself. And I genuinely feel that some of you were told that you couldn't achieve it, and you've done it, right? You actually did it really early on, but you're only just starting to notice it now. You're only just starting to notice the true value of what you have managed to create around you. I think that's absolutely beautiful, Sagittarius. Right, if this has resonated with you in any way, there is an extended, there's a link down there in the description box. Feel free to come across there, and we're going to kind of pull this apart a little bit. But it feels like you learned a really valuable lesson this year, and the rewards that are coming in for you, well, they're just limited by your own imagination, actually, because you are literally sucking them towards you with your good vibes at the moment. I freaking love this for you, Saggy. Right, know that I love you all, and I will see you very soon.